Coach Powell, what's up, man? Happy to have you on.
What's good, my guy? How are you?
I couldn't hear you, Coach Powell. Coach Powell. Mute yourself. Couldn't hear you, Coach Powell. Chris. Chris, what's up,
buddy?
man?
What's going on?
Happy to have you on, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
Good deal. Appreciate you jumping on, man. It's gonna be big time tonight.
No doubt.
Yep. Coach Jackson.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Coach, there's a reason why you back, man. You was a rock star last week.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. I appreciate it. Glad to be back.
Absolutely, man. Happy to have you on.
Yes, sir.
Coach Powell, you good now? I see you, BB.
Can you hear me now?
I got you now, man. What's
up,
Coach
brother?
Powell?
How are you?
Hey, man. We ain't got fast back together totally, but hey, we partially.
Hey, no doubt, man.
So I'll let you tell the listeners right now what FAST stands for.
FAST stands for Family Always Stays Together.
Yeah, me and Coach Powell was together at Austin P. He was a defensive coordinator at Austin P when we won the 2019 OVC championship. Man, Coach Powell, I think you was 28 years old at that time.
27. Yep.
27-year-old coordinator. Man, I think we were ranked in server categories top 3. So Coach Powell is a tremendous leader, man. I'm so happy you on, man. Family always stay together, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
All good. Coach Cree, I didn't forget about you.
I was waiting on the coach. I was being a little patient.
Well, happy you on, man. Co-host.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Dylan, what's up, man?
What's going on, Keith? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy you on, man. I think this is going to be a good deal. First time on, man. I think you're going to kill it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Yep, all good. Trevathan, let me get him invited to speak.
Coach Scott.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, Coach Williams. What's up, man? I know it's hot in Texas, baby.
Ooh-wee. I
Yeah,
feel like it's
man.
everywhere right now.
Say that again.
I feel like it's hot everywhere right now, Coach.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, man, we happy you on, man. Third time, man. It's the reason why you back.
Appreciate you having me, Coach.
All good, brother. Thank you. I
Yes,
think we
sir.
got everybody. I think Coach Trevathan, yeah, he's on. Coach Trevathan?
I'm here, Coach.
Yes, sir, man. I'm happy you're on, man. I'm happy you jumped on, man. How's everything in Russellville?
We're making it, man. Making it. Appreciate you having me.
All good. All good. We got all the guest panels, so we're good there. We're about 3 minutes out right now. Man, this thing is packing up pretty quick. Everybody want to hear what the coordinators had to say, man. Good. This is great. Excited about that. Coach Qualls, I speak to you, man.
No, you haven't yet, but I'm here, Coach. I know it's no hard feelings.
It's all good.
What's up, Coach?
Happy you on, man.
Oh, yes, all good.
BB,
Glad
what
to
up? BB. Look like BB got
He's
kicked.
a listener, Coach. Yeah,
He's a listener. Hold on.
that's what it says.
BB got to do better. I cannot add him. There we go.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Got you, brother.
Yeah, I was on, and then it just kind of went out on me.
I don't know what happened there, man. I'm happy you're on, man.
Appreciate you having me
All the way from the Lou Midwest, baby.
already.
All right. Good deal. Excited to be partnering and collaborating with Spotlight 39, man. Wait till y'all kind of hear his story, how he got started. Unbelievable. Tonight's going to be good, man. We got about 30 seconds. He's going to kick us off. Rob, you good?
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Check it out. I'm Rob Bodie. I'm in Studio 39, aka the Bear Cave, and you know what it is. It's Spotlight 39 live with my guy Brandon. We're gonna bring him in just a second. We got a special guest, man. Coach Keith Scott of the University of Central Arkansas. We're gonna have that KS recruiting talk live Twitter space. So without further ado, man, let's stop wasting time. Let's bring him in. How you fellas feeling? Mic check, mic
Great,
check.
man. How are you, man? Happy to be on.
Look, man, this is a new venture, man. So if we run into some technical difficulties on my end, I apologize. But we're breaking new ground. We got Twitter Space in correlation with Spotlight 39. So look, we know who Brandon is. We know who Rob is. We probably know who Keith Scott is. But you tell us, who is Keith Scott, man? Tell us who you are and what we're about to get into.
Yeah. All right, man. So what I do is I quickly jump into. First of all, good afternoon. I'm Keith Scott. I'm the host for KS Recruiting Space tonight. I'm the special teams coordinator and DB's coach at Central Arkansas. How did KS Recruiting Talks come about? The word consistent is a word that sticks out to me. I was a guy that started out just sending out daily tweets about the recruiting process, motivational things about how to get started in the recruiting process. And it was for my parents, my recruits, and my high school coaches, just so they can get a gauge on who I am as a coach, who I am away from the grass. It wasn't about what everyone is seeing now, the viral tweets, the likes, the retweets, the hearts that I'm getting now. It wasn't about that, because if it was about that, I would have stopped a long time ago. It wasn't nothing about that. What it was about was putting out content and getting and reaching as many people as I can. And I can remember very vaguely, like, sending out tweets and getting 2 likes. So if it was about the likes and retweets, I would have stopped when I got 2. I kept going and I kept going. And what happened was it grew, and it grew into a 40K following. And I really heard God say, Keith, you got a platform. You need to do more. You need to do more. Okay, so what's my more? And people don't understand this. KS Recruiting Talks is a 2-year-old idea that I had in my notes in my phone. that I was like anybody else just starting something. I was just like, man, when to do it, just so hesitant about it, man. And 5 weeks ago we started it, and I want to take my platform to another level. What I wanted to do was remove my words off Twitter and add my voice with my space, add my voice with my YouTube. 2 weeks ago, I launched my first YouTube channel, KS Recruiting Talks. It has grown really, really quickly. People have put into it. So I'm very thankful for that. Man, I appreciate Spotlight 39 for adding me in and us collaborate, man. What's my purpose? To inspire, educate, motivate players, high school coaches, and parents. That's my why. We got some simple rules for tonight. No high school coach, no recruit can speak. They cannot send in questions to our guest panel. The guest panel cannot promote a recruit or a high school. I wanna bring some light to this. In the past 5 weeks, KS Recruiting Talks been able to touch 11.7K people, man. That is big time. 11.7K people has tapped in over the last 5 weeks and heard what we had to say about the recruiting process. I would not stop until KS Recruiting is considered the #1 free resource for parents, recruits, and high school coaches. It's free. It costs you nothing. What I want to do right now, I want to thank everyone over the past 5 weeks that have tuned in to KS Recruiting Talks. Thank you for your time. I want to thank everybody that's listening in right now. I also want to thank our guest panel tonight. I also want to thank the last 5 previous week guest panel guys that have tuned in, volunteered their time to speak and give back and pour into so many families. What you can do as a coach, man, you can count this as volunteer service because you're giving back. You're volunteering an hour of your time to invest in other people, man. I truly appreciate that. That is big time. What I would do at this time, I would shut up and I would let our guest panel introduce themselves real quick.
I'll go ahead and start it off. Creed Trammell, corners coach at the University of Central Arkansas and co-host of the space. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Next.
Hello, my name is Raleigh Jackson. I'm the linebackers coach here at the University of Central Arkansas. Coach Scott, thank you again for having me.
Appreciate it, Coach. Enjoy working with you every day, man. Happy you're on.
This is Mark Powell, defensive coordinator at Fordham University. Appreciate having me on, Coach Scott.
You already know. Fast. Family always stay together. Happy you're on, brother. Next.
This is Chris Mccullough, head football coach at East Central University. Keith, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. A lot of people don't know Cree, Coach Trammell, Chris Mccullough, head coach over there, East Central, Kyle Williams. All of us went to the same high school. Chris is the youngest head coach in college football. Happy to have you on, Chris. Great job, man. Next.
Dylan Sanders, defensive coordinator at Murray State University. Appreciate you having me on, Keith.
Man, Dylan, you're a rock star. You're going to kill it tonight, man. Next.
Tony Gilbert, defensive coordinator, Mississippi College. Keith, thank you for having me on, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Coach Gilbert. Coach Gilbert was actually recruited me in high school, man. Happy to have him on. Next.
Kyle Williams, defensive coordinator, Texas A&M University Commerce. Thanks for having me, Keith.
Happy to have you on, Kyle, man. Childhood friend. His mom and my mom went to high school together, so happy to have you on, brother. Thank you. Next.
Chris Springer, defensive coordinator, Bethel University.
Coach Springer, round number 2, man. Happy to have you on. All right, next.
Josh Qualls, offensive coordinator, Cumberland University. Thanks for having me, Coach Scott.
Absolutely, brother. Next.
Brian Baldwin, special teams coordinator, Lindenwood University. Thanks for having me, big dog.
Absolutely, man. Happy to have you on, BB.
Ryan Trevathan, offensive coordinator, Arkansas Tech University. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. First time guy. I know you're a killer, Coach. Appreciate you being on, man. All right, so we'll get right into it. Our topic for tonight's space is coordinator recruiting talk. We got 5 topics that is going to be so informative to our listeners, so informative to our recruits, high school coaches, college coaches, parents that's listening in right now. It's going to be so informative. We got experience from a number of different levels. These guys are on point with what they're talking about. So what I do is I would get into topic number one. How does factoring roster spot scholarships work at your level? How do you manage your side of the ball? And what I do is I start us out first. I'll be really brief. You only have so many scholarships on your side of the ball as a coordinator. So the next thing that you have to do is you got to say, now I got to break these scholarships up into positions. How much I'm going to put in my D line, how much I'm going to put in my linebackers, how much I'm going to put in my secondary. And it all depends on what type of scheme you're running. If you're running a 3-down scheme, you might want to also add my outside linebackers, my overhang. So what you got to do is understand the coordinator has to break down his side of the ball, and then by each position, and then he can say, this how many D-line positions I have, this how many linebacker secondary positions. So next, I'll let Coach Powell go.
Yeah, 100%, Coach. For me, it's when you look at numbers and how factoring roster spots and scholarships work, the first thing you have to look at, all right, what is your program's mindset on scholarships, right? So, like for me personally, like I always think on the defensive side of the ball, you're gonna have the most scholarships out of everything, right? Just because of the amount of snaps you play. And I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit selfish. I'm a defensive guy, but I always think the defensive side of the ball is gonna have the most scholarships just for depth purposes. Whether or not you're gonna be +4 compared to the offense, and then however many special teams has, you have to factor in that, right? As an overall scholarships work, right? Has to be a program mindset on scholarships. And then you got to be able to, like you said, Coach Scott, you have to be able to split up scholarships based off of positions and based off of need. I think you have to understand that, especially at the FCS level, if it's allowed, you have to be able to split scholarships up, find the best case scenario, whether or not you can or cannot do partials, because at the end of the day, you need depth and you need bodies. So that's why partials, I think, go a long way when it's possible. And then how do you manage your side of the ball? For me, it all starts up front. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to win and lose in the trenches. I always look at where you're at depth-wise up front defensively. And then I work my way actually to the secondary after that. I think the most scholarships will go in defensive line room. And then after that, we'll go into the secondary and then linebackers. The thing I will say is the most important thing when it comes to managing the side of the ball is either up front or in the secondary, how many guys can play multiple positions. I think that's a huge thing that shows up across the board. I think the guys, if you're listening to this talk and you play multiple positions, that's awesome. The more positions you play, the more marketable you are, the more money that we should invest in you at the college level.
Appreciate that, Coach Powell. Inspire, educate, motivate. Next, we'll have up Coach Jackson.
Hey, Coach. On our level, FCS level, we start off with 63 scholarships that we can provide for the young men in our football team now. You can get up to 85 with partials, like Coach said, but let's just talk about it just in terms of numbers. So there's 63 scholarships that we can have on our full scholarships that we can have on a football team. Let's just say you have a head coach that wants to keep it balanced. So on offense, he's going to give those guys 30. On defense, he's going to give those guys 30. And let's just say the head coach has a discretionary fund of scholarships that he holds back those last 3 for specialist guys, snappers. And let's just say, hey, he likes an athletic quarterback that also has some position versatility that could potentially play defensive back or wide out. He's going to have those 3 scholarships. So if he gives us 30 scholarships on the defensive side of the football, we're going to start off with the defensive line. Now, the defensive line, I want to have 10 or 12 guys. So if I can have 12 guys up front and we're a 4 down, that gives me a 3 deep of scholarship guys. Now, there's also going to be some walk-ons there that give us depth in terms of being able to go down on scout team or guys that could potentially develop and then be put on scholarship. Next, we're going to talk about linebackers. We're probably going to play with 2 inside linebackers. And so at that point, I really just want to have somewhere between 6 to 8 scholarships at linebacker, but I really want to be closer to 6 than I want to be to 8. I don't really want to spend a lot of money at linebacker because I want to spend the majority of my money on the back end as well as the front end, like Coach just spoke about. So I'm going to have somewhere around 8 cornerbacks. Now that cornerback position, from a position versatility as well, maybe those guys grow into safeties. Maybe those guys grow into that nickel guy who in a lot of schemes right now is really the third cornerback. And then I want to have about the same thing at safety. I want to have about 8 safeties as well. The reason it's twofold why I want to be a little more top heavy on the back end. First of all, is from a depth standpoint, attrition standpoint, those guys run a lot. And I need guys that can be able to come in and be able to sub in and sub out. And also special teams. Special teams is a third phase that we don't really think about as far as recruiting. But for us defensive coaches, we know this, that the majority of the guys that are on special teams are on defense. And so we need to be able to have a guy that can run down on kickoff, run down on punt, go block a punt, and then also have another guy be able to come in and play for the fourth quarter. So that would be our scholarship rundown on defense.
Really good job. Really good details right there, Coach Jackson. I appreciate it, man. Inspire, educate, motivate. Coach McCullough?
Yes, sir. I'm going to put on my, I call the offense, but I'm going to put on the head coaching hat for a minute. Every level is different, like these guys have said, right? D2, we get 36 scholarships to build a team. So every single scholarship is a partial. I mean, this can range from $500 to, every school is different on how much it costs. But like here, the highest would be like a $10,000 scholarship. So, we normally carry about 120 to 130 guys. This year we're carrying a little bit more than that. But as the head coach, I have to make sure both sides of the ball are good. We spend about 60 to 65% of our 36 scholarships on defense. Defense wins championships. So that's what we do here as far as the way we break down scholarships. So if you looked into and broke down all 36 scholarships, this is how we do it. And, it sways and varies a little bit year to year based on what you got. But, defense, we give 20 scholarships out of the 36. 14 and a half on offense and 1.5 on special teams. If you go deeper into that, each side of the ball, so defense, we give 8 scholarships that we all break down into partials to D-line and outside linebacker. You got to get after the passer. You got to be able to win in the trenches, all right? And then we give 8 DB scholarships, again, all partials. And then we have 4 inside linebacker scholarships that we break down. And then on offense, we got 6 in the trenches on the O-line. All right, we got 4 receivers. All right, scholarships, 2 for the quarterbacks, 1.5 for the running backs, and 1 for the tight ends. All right, so that's how we break it down on defense and offense. And then your 1.5 on special teams. You got to find the best kicker available. You do not want to be late in the game and not have the right kicker to go win it for you. So we do spend a little bit more money than some schools do on kickers. So that's how we break it down here.
Guys, we'll get rolling right into topic number 2. Really good information right there from everybody. So topic number 2, how do you make the choice between high school recruit, portal recruit, or JUCO recruit? Coach Williams, you'll start us off there.
Yes, sir, Coach. I think you have to look at a few things when you talk about this topic, whether to go high school, transfer portal, or junior college. I think it's a need-based, Coach. I think that you have to understand what your priority is on defense or offense in that sense. And there's a few things you got to look at. So your staff, you have to do an honest evaluation of your roster from a depth standpoint, okay? And then we break it down in categories. So for us, you have the guys that absolutely can make you win. We break it down into categories. The guys that can make you win, the guys that could start for you, or play a critical role, and having quality depth. I think those 3 components are very, very important when you look at it. And then, Coach, at the end of the day, you have to understand the pedigree of what you're trying to get done with those recruits. And at the end of the day, you got to develop these people, whether it's high school kids, transfer portal kids, or junior college kids. I think one of the missing components is the development of all three of those guys. Because when you look at it, you got to develop your high school kids. The portal kids, you want those guys to be ready. The JC kids, you want those guys to be ready. But the reality is some of those guys are projects. So when you look at that, I think development is the biggest key when you're looking at taking high school kid, portal kids, or JC kids. But it'll all be determined on your roster breakdown and your scholarships.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great topic. This is a topic that's been at the forefront of college recruiting nowadays, and not just looking at us, Murray State, but looking at the grand scheme of how a lot of teams look at those different levels, high school, portal, or JUCO. I think a lot of it lies in what that staff is trying to do. What is their mission? Are they a staff that's brand new that needs to get guys in quickly that they can win games? That was our case 2 years ago when we got to Murray State. We didn't have enough talent, so we went and added a bunch of portal guys. Are they a staff that they're kind of in that realm where they may get let go in a year or two if they don't win a bunch of games? That's why you're seeing a lot of staffs go get a bunch of portal guys because those guys are typically more ready to play, or JUCO guys are more ready to play immediately. And so it may be something in that nature where they're trying to save their job. So I think that's really what you have to look at. We now, having won a couple games and played pretty well our first 2 years, we have the luxury of being a little bit more high school heavy because our contracts allow us to be more high school heavy. We can really focus on getting guys in and developing them. We don't have to feel the pressure to win now as much. I mean, obviously everybody wants to win as many games as you can, but a lot of that to me lies in what type of footing you're on as a coaching staff and really what the pressure is to win immediately, or is your administration going to allow you some time to build and develop and do what you need to do? Because in the end, that's what drives a lot of it as far as who people are going to go after. So for us, we've gotten into the mold of being able to recruit a little bit more high school because it allows us to develop and we don't feel as pressured to have to go win a million games right away just because we've had some success these first 2 years.
Coach Sanders, great insight right there, man. Coach Gilbert, you had the stage.
Well, I tell you what, Coach Williams and Coach Sanders done a great job. There ain't much that I have to say because they kind of nail it all. But as we all know, I mean, the biggest thing about with everything is managing your roster. And, Coach Williams started out was, talking about based on your needs. What is it that you need? And, the key thing, as we all know, you got to look at, is that guy you going after, is he better than what you have? And so, and you have to take that, like I said, take that honest, evaluation, with a high school kid, a portal kid, or with a junior college kid. So basically what everybody said is, I agree totally.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you. Coach Qualls, chime in for us.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach Gilbert. There's not much more we can say. Coach Williams made a great point about what you need, and then that's really what it comes down to. What do you need as a staff, as a team? I think if you have a position group that's deep, then with that being said, like guys that are in there that's been there for 2 or 3 years that aren't graduating, then you can go get a high school kid to develop that position. But then, like everybody said, if you need to win now, if it's a new staff to the program like us here with the Fighting Phoenix, then you might have to go buy some guys right now to help you out. But yeah, you guys all hit the nail on the head with those, and I'm just here to kind of reiterate what you guys have said.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Good job right there. That question, man, I agree with Dylan, man. That's one that's at the forefront of college football. That's why it was on here. You guys dominated it, man. If you're on here right now, you're getting good information. Don't be afraid to like, comment, retweet, tweet about the space, tweet about you getting inspired, you getting motivated. about the recruiting process. So also, if you're a subscriber to YouTube, don't hesitate to subscribe to my YouTube. At this time, I'm gonna bring Rob back on. Rob. All right, Coach Creed, go ahead.
We'll get rolling right into topic number 3. With that being said, topic 3 is, in what order do you like to watch a recruit before offering? Coach Sanders will get us started here.
Yeah, so the big thing for us at the FCS level is we don't get super far ahead in recruiting. Obviously, the spring is really when we get on the 23 class, which is what we're on right now. So for us, it's pretty nice because we can watch really their full junior season highlights. For guys that are in that realm of, okay, we need to see more senior film, typically what we like to do is get a 3-game film early in the season, see if the guy's improved, how he's developed over the summer. Maybe we saw him at a camp or something and just need to verify a little bit more that the physicality or some aspect of his game that wasn't there is showing up on film. And then the biggest thing for us is at that point, whether it's a midseason or a final senior film, that's really what we go off of. I mean, the biggest thing, there's no perfect on, hey, you have to watch a 3-game and then midseason and then a full game highlight for us. The biggest thing for us is because we do our homework a lot beforehand. We have a formula that we call it's CAF, and so the biggest thing we do is we do our homework beforehand on the character component, the academic component, and then does the guy like football or love football really. So if a guy doesn't meet those 3 things for us, he really probably isn't even getting his film watched, whether it's 3-game, full game, whatever. So as far as when we will offer a guy is when we've seen the film, we like what he does, and then he meets those 3 aspects for us, the character, academics, and that he loves football. And then we'll roll from there as far as offering guys and making it worth recruiting.
Coach, very well said. Coach Baldwin, pitch in on it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an order in how you want to look at recruits. Kind of what I like to do is look at the highlight films first. I mean, we talking about the specialists, being a special team coordinator, you talk about specialists, and then you talk about guys that put the offense and the defensive guys that put specialists on their highlight films. And I know that drives a bunch of coaches crazy, but for me, I actually get excited when I see guys kick off clips on their highlight film, and I see guys do things like that. You know, Coach Mccullough and Coach Jackson brought up the importance of special teams, and I think that's a huge deal for me being able to see that stuff on highlight films. And then I would like to transition over into Twitter, and a lot of those kickers and specialists have all of their kicking rankings and all of the stuff that they have going on. So I like to go on there and look at those guys' rankings and look at some of the clips they have from camps that they've been to previously. And then lastly, I like to move into getting out and seeing live games. If we had the opportunity to see guys that are local in live games, and then I'll kind of evaluate whole game film to really try to get a thorough evaluation on those guys.
Great job, Coach. Thank you. Coach Springer, you had the floor.
Yeah, I know for us initially early on, it's kind of starting with that with the junior film. We're trying to get as many guys watched as possible and evaluated early on from each coach's perspective area. And then from there we pretty much move to a standpoint, because a lot of our recruiting at the NAI is similar to the D2 level and how we part up and break up our scholarships. So then we're trying to get to the camp circuit and really from the 3-game highlight or your full highlight, you can really get that initial offer in any of those 3. And then once we evaluate that and we kind of go through that checkoff process, like Coach Sanders said, like I said, that can lead to that initial offer. Once you get that initial offer, what kind of validates that and how much you're getting in that dollar amount really kind of comes off of whether we watch that game film, if we think you're a high dollar guy for us or somebody we think can come in and contribute right away, or something we've seen whether it be at camp, or we've seen you in live action. But, a lot of times, like I said, a lot of our recruiting, we're kind of seeing how the dust settles. A lot of, we get, whether you get a bigger offer from a bigger school or something of that nature, can definitely change our board. So at the end of the day, what I want, what we end up with, can change. So we've got to evaluate a lot of guys, have a deep, roster of guys to be able to move on to the next guy. If they do end up getting that offer from that bigger school. So the evaluation process never stops for us. We're trying to evaluate and watch as many guys as possible. And then once we get everything checked off, we'll start with the offer process. And then, for the dollar amount that we're going to give them at the end of the day, it's going to come off of what we do on the field, or we've seen a good eval from you.
Yep, Coach Jackson.
Yeah, Coach, I want to see a full highlight, and I want to see a full highlight that's got some girth to it. I don't want to see a full highlight that's a minute and 48 seconds long. You're not going to answer enough questions for us. If you're a front seven guy, and your highlight is a minute and 48 seconds, and all you're doing is sacking the quarterback, I don't know how you set the edge in the run. If you're a linebacker, I don't know whether you can get off blocks. I don't know whether you can cover. I don't know what your ball skills are. For a DB, I want to be able to see, can you tackle? Can you play bump and run? Can you go up and high point the ball? If you got a short highlight film, a lot of times you're trying to, gloss over something. And so if that's the case, I'm definitely going to come back to that 3-game highlight during the middle of the year and or a full game, just to make sure that we got all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed in terms of your overall skill set. As far as game film is concerned, love it. Love to see guys that can do multiple things. Does coach trust you enough to put you on the kickoff team? Does he trust you enough to be the holder, on the field goal team? A lot of those things answer questions, your trust level, and your overall character to that, the coach is saying by the positions that he's putting you in.
Great job done, Coach Jackson. Coach Trevathan, bring us home here, Coach.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to go about it. We start off with junior full highlight films, and then from there we identify. We're able to go to camps or get guys to our camps ourselves, and that kicks off your recruiting process. From there in the season, we want to see your 3 or 6 game highlight. But even further down, I think it's positionally what you want as a coordinator. As a quarterback, you can hide a lot in a highlight. I want to see how you make decisions. So I might ask you for a couple of games so we can do a real eval on you. If you're an offensive lineman, do you play tough? Are you physical throughout? Do you take plays off? So I think certain positions, sure, you can see what you can do off of a 3 or 4 minute highlight video. But there's certain positions that are more important. I think you have to go a little deeper and make sure that you do get a full eval before being recruited from us.
Wow, really good job right there, man. Y'all dominated topic number 3. Really good details. Inspire, educate, motivate. If you're getting good information right now, don't be hesitant to like, comment, retweet about KS Recruiting Space. Remember, man, I want KS Recruiting resource for recruits, parents, and high school coaches there.
Hey, again, if you're enjoying yourself, spread the word, like, share, retweet, and subscribe on YouTube. Each one reach one. It's the saying. Let's get going with it. With that being said, we'll roll right into topic number 4. How do you build your defense or offense in the recruiting process? What are your needs first? Coach Mccullough, start us off here.
Yeah, so recruiting never stops. We all know that. That is half of our job is recruiting and then developing, right? So now you evaluate your roster every 3 to 6 months. No questions asked. You have to. You always have to start thinking one cycle ahead. Who am I losing to graduation, right? That's the biggest thing. You got to always think one cycle ahead. For me, offensively, I find the best quarterback first. Whatever fits your system. Like I will never, for the rest of my career, I'll never have a statue quarterback. I just don't think you can with the pass rushers there are now in football. You always have to have a mobile quarterback. So that's always the first thing I'm trying to find each cycle is who's the best quarterback on the board. And then I think every single person in this chat right now would say, if you're an offensive line, this is your time to shine because every single one of us needs some O linemen, and that's going to be for the rest of our careers. It's tough to find great O linemen out there, and those are the catalysts of your opportunities on offense. If you don't have a very good offensive line, it's going to be tough to score some points. So you gotta build it up front first. And then after that, you got to find some playmakers. You got to find some receivers that can take the top off. You got to find some receivers that you can throw a bubble to and take it 60 to the house. So that's kind of how we do it. We do quarterback, O-line, then receiver, and then running backs and tight ends. And every coach is different, right? If you're a 10-personnel team, you're probably not going to look at a whole lot of tight ends. But if you're going to base out of 11 or 12 personnel, you're going to have quite a bit of tight ends on your team. So, we're going to treat running backs and tight ends kind of the same. We're 11 personnel team. So I think that if you can have a tight end that can do both in the run game and pass game, be dominant force, I think he may be your most valuable player on offense. So that's how we look at it on offense here at East Central.
Thank you. Quality insight right there from Chris McCullough. Coach Qualls, you're up.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things Coach McCullough just said, but obviously I think on both ends, offense and defense, it starts up front and in the trenches. So we're going to offensively try to find some guys up front to get the ball rolling because it really doesn't matter how good your guy is in the back that's pulling the trigger, how good them running backs are. If you don't have anybody up front that can get movement and do some things up there, then you're not going to have a very good offense. So we want to start up front with some guys, and then we're going to move into the quarterback situation. Our offense is designed really to give the keys to that quarterback. He's the point guard out there. He's making all the checks and all the decisions in our RPO world. So looking for that guy. And then the H-back tight end is really, really important to us. We're a heavy 11 personnel, so we're really trying to find that bruiser, that H-back tight end spot. Like Coach McCullough said, if you can find a guy that can do both with his hand down and in that sniffer, then that's great. But a lot of times you're going to have to find both of them. So we take a lot of time recruiting the tight end H-back position, and then we go to the skills and running backs. There's a lot of those guys out there, man. So we go to those guys after that, and then I'm big on building my offense around my players and not the players around the offense. So that's kind of how we are. Like offensively on offensive line, we're an inside zone and a gap scheme team. So we want to find those type of offensive linemen because that's what we want to do. We're not going to try to outrun people sideline to sideline. We want to get movement. But then at the quarterback position, man, we're looking for guys that are just playmakers, guys that are smart, high IQ. If you got a guy that can run, then our offense is going to be designed that type of way. If he's more of a pocket pass motion, then we're going to do things like that. And then our H-back tight end, like I said, he's got to be the baddest dude in the room, so that's who we look for. Somebody who's just a dirty dude, man, and a lot of times that's a walk-on because walk-ons are willing to do whatever they got to do to make that team the best that they can do and just get on the field. So that H-back tight end is a great position for us. And then from receiver wise, we're trying to find a big body boundary receiver, like most people, who's our possession guy. What we call our H is our slot to the boundary. He's our bigger slot, so we can show a 10 personnel, but he can also get into the box and do a little bit of work to give that 11 personnel a look. And then our field slots, trying to find some guys with a little bit more wiggle, more option, jet sweep stuff. And then our field outside receiver is more the guy who's going to take the top off. So that's just kind of what we look at as far as the skill position goes, from top to bottom, from O-line to everybody else.
Thanks, Coach. Good insight on how y'all like to get things done on the offensive side of the ball. Thank you. Now we'll head over to Coach Gilbert.
Well, it's kind of been talking there, especially in the beginning of this, you have to start up front. And, building a great defense, you got to start up front with the defensive lineman. And what we like to do, what we try to do at Mississippi College is we want to build the front seven. So we start with the defensive lineman, and then we have, then the linebackers. Because regardless, I don't care. I know with a lot of RPOs and different things and people throwing the ball, you still have to be able to stop the run. And the thing, and the more physical that you are, the better that you're going to be. And if you can get your front seven, doing that, that's going to give you a chance. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm a secondary guy, and I love those guys. But those would be the guys that I would get. I wouldn't say last, but I'm starting with the D line, going with the linebackers, and then the secondary, and stuff, and always try to find that good corner. Because if you get two good corners, hey, you really can do some things. So that's how I like to do it, and that's pretty much it.
Coach Jackson.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree that you start up front. Speaking from a defensive standpoint, I want 4 to 8 defensive linemen that I can put in a game and that there be no drop off. And so that's going to take a lot of work on our behalf as a staff, because that's pretty much what everybody else wants as well. And so to be able to go get those guys that can the term we like to use is that they can stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And so, you don't have to play a certain technique to stop the run. And then now I got to get their butts in the air on third down to go, rush the quarterback. I want guys that can stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And so to go get 4 to 8, 10, if you're really, really lucky, guys that you can put in a game and there be no drop off, it's going to take a lot of work from the defensive staff to be able to go get that done. We're not going to skip over the linebackers, but I just know that there's such a premium for having really good defensive back play. And so for those back 5 guys, we're going to put as much time, effort, and scholarship money in those positions as we need to get it right. The cornerback position is critical. You've got to have guys that can play multiple techniques. Even if you got a guy that's really sticky in terms of playing bump and run, that guy also needs to have some technique to be able to play a cliff technique and be able to play a hard edge. He needs to be able to play a depth and divider. He needs to be able to have a multi-use skill set, just so that you can't start rubbing them and crossing them, and being able to take advantage of those guys on the, as a safety position. Those guys are corners in a lot of ways with what they do, but then we ask those guys to sometimes be our 3rd, 4th, and 5th leading tacklers on the football team, and so they've got to have a large skill set as well. And so to find those guys, to find the right guys, find guys that can communicate, find guys that's going to play with a high level of focus, play in and play out, is not easy, but you have to do it with all different adjustments that you have to make on the back end nowadays with the second level RPOs, with the RPOs that are now going opposite of the running back, or whatever you're seeing in your specific league. You've got to have guys that can do different things, both on the field, on the grass, but also from a cerebral standpoint, where they can be an extension of you as the coordinator. At linebacker, we're going to take tough guys that's got good hips, that can run, and that can also be really good communicators. I like Lynn. And so that would be the distribution that we will go in terms of, we're going to go in the front, then we're going to go all the way in the back, and then we're going to come back to the middle.
Great job right there, Coach Jackson. Inspire, educate, motivate. If you're on right now, you're getting good information. Like, comment, retweet. Go subscribe to my YouTube. There's more information there, KS Recruiting Talks. What we'll do is, we'll finish question number 4, man. We're rolling right now. Really, really good time, man. Our goal is to be right under an hour. We're well on time, rolling into topic number 5.
Topic number 5. Do you prefer a certain region or area when building your defense or offense? Coach Powell, get us started here.
Yeah, for me, it's not really a certain region or an area when building an offense or a defense. For me, it all goes back to like players that fit your culture, players that fit what you're about on your side of the ball. I think that's very, very important. Just because the kid might be a really good blitzer, a really good cover guy, but if he's going to come in and be an issue in a position room, be an issue on the side of the ball, be an issue on a team, that's something that you don't want in your room, you don't want in your building. So it all starts with who is the player as a person. It doesn't matter where they're from. I think at the end of the day, it's about people. That's where it starts with me. And then after that, once the person that fits your scheme, take the best overall players, no matter where they're from, at each position. I know Coach Scott and I have had a lot of success in Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm not going to turn down a guy from anywhere if he's a good player that fits our scheme. So the thing that I always talk about with our defensive staff is keep it real with the kid, keep it real with yourself as a recruiter, because you're going to fall in love with a kid and then you might not at the end of the day take him, and that's okay. I think that Coach Scott has done an unbelievable job where he's been or where he's recruited. He always will try to help kids out, and that's something that you have to just be upfront with guys about in the entire recruiting process. I think that's so important, and you just have to keep it real with yourself as a recruiter, no matter where the kid's from. And you have to keep and be honest with them. I think that's so important. If you're honest and upfront, you're going to be fine. And then at the end of the day, you got to, at the end of the day, Coach Scott will say it. I've said it for a long time. When I was a really good coach, I had really good players. When I was a really bad coach, I had really bad players. So it's all about getting good players that fit your culture, fit your scheme. But it all goes back to, it's not about where they're from, the area. In my opinion, it's about how they fit your program, how they fit your culture. And then it gets to this, how they fit within your schematics.
Coach, 100%. I'm with you when you're right. Good response there, man. Coach Williams, you got it.
Yes, sir. The key is the relationships. We talk about this when we get on here. Pipelines, okay? I'm thankful to be able to be in Texas. I know some coaches, you guys have to travel a lot. We have to travel as well. I mean, living in Texas and living in another state is almost the same when you talk about distance travel to go recruit. Are you in a rural area? That's something to look at. Having access to Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Austin and Central Texas, I think really helps. We try to stay into the state, but just like Coach mentioned a second ago, you take good players from anywhere. This program, Texas A&M Commerce, has been built for 60, 70 years off transfer players. I know older gentlemen that still live here that transferred here 30, 40 years ago from big time programs. So, you look at our roster and it's made up of guys from out of the country. We got kids from Canada, Australia, Africa, etc., in a multitude of cities in the United States of America. So, when you look at that, I think, always take good players. And as we said earlier, building that quality depth is what you're really looking for when you talk about building a successful program, let alone a successful defense and a successful offense.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Trevathan.
Yeah, I think building relationships is important, as they said. I don't look at a specific region or area. We want the best players from anywhere. We'll go from, we have guys, a guy from New Zealand and all the way to Florida. So we cover the country. I think it is important to say that I think there's places in schools that, have certain pedigrees. It's not by chance that there's certain schools that produce multiple NFL guys. It's not by chance that certain areas keep on producing or certain states keep on producing guys that are successful over and over again. That's what they're meant to do. That's the pedigree they've grown up in the game. On the flip side, I think if you go into a school, and you sign a kid and he doesn't work out, okay, maybe that's the case. If that continually happens year after year after year, you may need to start looking at what you're doing wrong or maybe avoiding that school. So, I don't think there's certain areas or region, but I do believe there's places where players consistently make it and are successful, and then others tend to bail out when things get tough.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Coach Springer.
I know for us, we're looking to start, within our 4-hour radius outside of McKenzie, and we'll start there, then work out. And that's just because from the simple fact that's where we've had the most retention from, and really fits the area and the landscape of where we're at in McKenzie, Tennessee. So, retention is equal development for us, which has been huge. Then out of state, we're looking at Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, our top states, obviously, where we're trying to get some guys from. And then, like I've heard some of these other coaches said, then we're going where we had success with in the past, where guys on our team that, we've had a good track record of signing guys from their high school. I can think of one off the top of my head. So obviously we're going to try to go back to the well if we've had good success from there. Or it might be the coach. The coach is, he's been a coach that's very honest with his evaluations on players we've gotten, whether it's worked out or not. So we're going to try to continue to hit up that region or area. But, like I said, we'll still sign guys from all over, but we're not so much on the national recruiting scene. We start in that 4-hour radius, work out, get the best players we can, because it's where we've had the best chance of being able to retain guys. And then we're looking for, where we've had success from, for it to be that school, that coach, or we might have a coach on staff that has really good connections somewhere where we trust that eval. So that's where we typically go, because like these guys said, relationships are huge. So for us, we really kind of go where the relationships take us. And then obviously, you'll get your field transfers from any and everywhere. So that's kind of where we go as far as how we build things.
Coach Baldwin?
Yeah, I would say we definitely don't discriminate at Lindenwood. I think ballers are born all across the country. We're going to always look, like everybody else said, for the best fit culturally into our program, and then best football players next, and working our way so far down. Coach Williams brought up international, our overseas players and players coming from everywhere across the world. It's a big movement right now with a lot of international specialists, kickers, and things of that nature. So we're getting a lot of guys from overseas that are interested in coming over and doing specialists and kicking. That's been a big movement for us. And then, location is huge for us. We don't discriminate, but we're very fortunate to be connected to a major city in St. Louis. And then being in the Midwest region, there's a lot of really good football players, and it just allowed those guys and us to be able to travel, and them to travel and still be close and connected to a major city. So that's been really big for us as a program.
Wow. Question number 5 is complete. Great job, guys, talking and explaining a really, really good topic, man. We're at the end of this thing. I want to thank our guest panel tonight. You guys were tremendous. Y'all killed it. I knew you would. That's why I invited you. I want to thank our listeners tonight, man. We had a really good showing, a really good crowd tonight. So I really appreciate everyone's time, man. We right underneath an hour. I'm pretty sure a number of recruits, parents, and high school coaches were inspired, educated, and motivated about the recruiting process. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, you got good information, like, comment, retweet, tell other people about KS Recruiting Talks. Go subscribe to my YouTube, KS Recruiting on YouTube. My thing is, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Spotlight 39, man, for collaborating with me. I think tonight was great. I appreciate everyone's time, man. Y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for being a guest panel.
Thank y'all for having us now.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.